Today I'm going to be responding to a question that I received on Instagram, and that question is, how do I overcome a fear of public speaking? Now, it's incredibly relatable. I'm so glad you asked it, and I'm actually going to be answering this in two parts. So today we're going to start talking about really uncovering the root of what that fear might be. In the next video, we're going to talk about some mindset shifts and best practices that are really going to help us break through and start speaking. So first, I want to celebrate you for asking this question. It tells me you have a message on your heart that you want to share with other people. And there's no insight you have that is too small. The reason I say that is because you never know when what you'll share is exactly what someone needed to hear for their breakthrough. As a leadership trainer and coach, the first thing that I would do is not try to give you all the answers. If you were here with me in person, I would be asking you questions to try to get to the root of what might be going on. And I know that we're not in the same place together right now, but we can still engage in that way, right? So I want you to drop the answer to this in the comments below. So the first question I want to ask you is, what is the source of this fear or limiting belief of public speaking? In other words, when did you first start to feel or believe that you might not be good at this? And I want you to think to specific moments, not generalities, specific moments when you remember believing, I don't want to take this opportunity, or I might mess up if I get up there, or you were about to do it and you felt some anxiety. When did that happen? The reason I'm asking you these questions is because awareness is power. The more that you know with clarity where these feelings and ideas come from, the more fuel you'll have to actually break through them. What I want to do is draw on some of my experience coaching and training thousands of leaders from around the world. And believe me, look, it doesn't matter what level of leadership they're at. We all kind of share some of these core common challenges. So I'm going to share 4 common challenges and a couple of things to do or practice in order to move through them. The first common challenge I want to share with you is a fear of judgment or rejection. It's really about this feeling that if we were to open up and show someone who we truly are, or really speak our truth, that we'd be pushed away for it, or we'd be criticized, or ultimately be deemed unworthy. I want to invite us to consider 2 things. 1, don't take things personally. I know it's easier said than done, but it's really important to remember that people's likes and dislikes, people's critiques and judgments have nothing to do with us. It has everything to do with them. And people are doing the best that they can with the tools they have at this moment. The second is really to interrogate whether it's even possible to be rejected. The only way that you and I could truly have the emotional experience of feeling rejected is if we decide that we have been rejected. In other words, you and I are the only ones who can determine how we feel. And if we shift our perspective from feeling like it's personal and we're being pushed away to recognizing that that's one person's way of seeing the world and it is not a reflection on who we are as people, we'll be way ahead of the game. The other thing I want to remind us is that your worthiness, quite frankly, is never on the table, right? So that's never really in question. And I invite us to root in authenticity, because when you speak your truth, that is your power place and you become unshakable. The second common challenge, and listen, we're about to change some lives right now, is seeing vulnerability as weakness as opposed to strength. A lot of our cultures raise us and bring us up to think that really, being raw with someone is a sign of weakness. But let me ask you this, what requires more courage and strength? To put up a wall and not allow anyone to get through, or to actually break that wall down and show people who you truly are? Which one is actually putting yourself on the line? Which one is actually taking a risk? I will venture to say that being vulnerable is one of the most powerful things we can do as human beings. And I also want to remind us that the degree to which we protect ourselves from being hurt is also the degree to which we shield ourselves from receiving love. And so it's really important that we tear those walls down and enable ourselves to see vulnerability differently as our ultimate power, as the thing that enables connection between human beings. And ultimately, vulnerability is what's going to make you a great public speaker. It's what's going to make it possible for you to tell a really powerful and compelling public narrative that can move others to action. So vulnerability is really, really critical to the work that we're doing here. Number 3 is the fear of not being good enough. Any recovering perfectionists out there, go ahead and raise your hand. I see y'all. This is one of the reasons that we tend to procrastinate on things, because we don't think it'll be up to par when we finish it. I just want to remind us of a couple of things. 1, learning flows from action. It does not precede it. So it's really important to get into action in order to learn what you have to learn to get better and better at what you want to do. And I also want to encourage us to think in terms of a growth mindset, not a fixed mindset. A fixed mindset is anytime you experience constructive feedback or criticism from others, you take it as a reflection of your character. And we might begin thinking that we're not good enough personally. But a growth mindset instead is an orientation that reminds us of the truth, that your capacity to learn and grow is limitless. And the more that you practice, the better you'll get. In leadership and life, this is a pursuit to mastery. This is a long journey. And we have plenty of time to get better and better at what we want to do, but it requires that first step, getting into action. And number 4, Be mindful of ancient voices. A lot of the voices and the doubts that we have running in our heads actually don't belong to us. Sometimes, more often than not, we can think back to a memory where someone in our family or someone at school, or maybe a teacher or someone in the community said something to you that really just stuck with you. In the beginning, it might have been echoing in your mind in their voice. You're not a good public speaker. You can't do this. You're not good enough. When we hear it and replay it, we begin to adopt it as our own belief in our own voice. So it's even hard to trace where it came from. You might notice it when you feel like you're not really present in the moment, and maybe something small happened, but your reaction was really big. That's one way to kind of identify that something is really coming up. The questions I would ask myself is, whose voice is this? Where did it come from? When you can identify the source of that voice, you can begin to do the second thing, which is interrogate whether that voice or what that voice is telling you is true or not. Oftentimes, fear stands for false evidence appearing real. So we need to challenge and interrogate our fears to be able to separate fact from fiction. And once we can truly identify whose voice that is, which helps us separate it from our identity, and then we begin to really interrogate whether it's true or not and recognize that actually in some ways it might be false evidence appearing real, because there have been plenty of times when you've connected with someone or you've spoken with someone or you've done a great job, you've demonstrated mastery in your life. I know that to be true. Finally, what that enables us to do is to become present in this moment and see things exactly as they are. Rather than reacting to the moment, we can begin to respond. And that's how you get your agency back. Public narrative, public speaking, telling your own story is an act of leadership. It's really about claiming authorship over your own story and claiming agency over your own life. And remember, as we are liberated from our fear, our presence automatically liberates others. So listen, I want us to stay connected. Subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I also want to continue this conversation. So I want to invite you to jump into the comment section below and share two things. One, what's one takeaway, one lesson, one gem that you got of insight from watching this video? And if you have one, what's one question that you're still left wondering about, so that other people who are reading can also join in the conversation? And if you know anyone who might enjoy this, please share this video with them. Until next time, family, peace.